Terracotta Army is a collection of terracotta sculpture depicting the armies of China's first emperor. The history of Terracotta Army dates back over 2,200 years. The terracotta was constructed to accompany the tomb of China's first emperor. My presentation is in three parts. First, I will talk about the historical context of terracotta. Secondly, I will be talking about the architectural context of terracotta. Finally, I will be talking about the cultural context of terracotta. China's first emperor was desperate for immortality, and in the end, his terracotta army of over 7,000 warriors, 600 horse, and 100 chariots has given him just that. Moving on to the first part of my presentation, which is historical context of terracotta. These thousands of terracotta warriors represent the army in China during the Warring State period of 476 BC until 221 BC. The construction of the tomb began in 246 BC. It was also when the first emperor was enthroned at the age of 13. He became the emperor after unifying China in 221 BC. The construction of the tomb was also targeted to connect it with various sections of the Great Wall of China. By 210 BC, Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi died. The construction was completed by 206 BC. Moving on to the second part of my presentation, which is architectural context of terracotta. The way that terracotta was built was really fascinating. The statues were originally in vivid color, and it was arranged according to their rank in the society. They were positioned as if they were lined up for battle. Infantry, cavalry, horse, chariots, archers, lancers, and hand-to-hand fighters. The style of the Qing warriors blends archaic formalisms, simplicity of volume and contour, rigidity and formality, with sharp realism of detail. Set poses are repeated with little or no variation. The body appeared to be made from a single mold, but with different facial features equipped with different types of weapons. It is believed that most various heads and arms were produced in molds as separate models. After assembly, clay was applied to the surface of the sculpture so that artists could model the face and the hair individually. Then the figures were fired in kilns to make the clay hard and durable. Afterward, they were painted with bright colors. As a result, every figure looks different and unique, just like real people. After 2,000 years of erosion and humidity, most figures have lost their original vivid color. Moving on to the last part of my presentation, which is the cultural context of terracotta army. During the Qin period, people dressed up according to their social ranking in the society. So, the terracotta figures that were built will also follow that certain ranking. So, the excavated terracotta figures fall into three major categories: infantry, cavalry, and charioteers. The infantry can be further divided into subcategories, including officers of high, middle, and low rank, light armed and heavy armed foot soldiers, and standing and kneeling archers. The charioteers can be further divided into two subcategories, chariot drivers and chariot warriors. Moreover, their facial appearance, expression, clothing, and hairstyle also differs according with its rank. Analysis shows that the facial shapes of the terracotta figures can be roughly classified into 8 types, and each shape resembles a Chinese character. Hairstyles in ancient times were not only part of people's lifestyle, but also a reflection of their social status. The hairstyle of the terracotta warriors are different based on their ranks and arm of the service. During the Qin period, people used weapons like swords to protect themselves or to do work. So many of the figures of terracotta originally held real weapons of the time, such as bronze swords, long bows, arrows, spears, dagger axes, and other long-shaft weapons. The weapons were treated to make them resistant to rust and corrosion, so that even after being buried for over 2,000 years, they are still sharp. In conclusion, I would like to sum up my presentation. First, I have talked about historical context of terracotta. Secondly, I have talked about the architectural context of terracotta. And finally, I have talked about the cultural context of terracotta. The Terracotta Army figures excavation is regarded as one of the greatest discoveries of the 20th century. It has lain underground for more than 2,000 years before farmers digging a well in 1974 uncovered what is now considered one of the greatest archaeological sites in the world. The tomb is a treasury for the Chinese people and for the whole world. So, in December 1987, UNESCO selected the tomb of the first emperor as a World Cultural Heritage Site.